drawer behind some cable, I found plastic wrapped in dust. Tiny window, little spindles, label written just by us. You had scribbled our slow favorite in a hurry, almost wrong, but my fingers knew immediately this cassette held our old song. So I rewind our song till the tape might almost break. Every chorus, every whisper wakes the love I couldn't say. If you ever feel a heartbeat when you think you've moved along, it might be me on this mattress as I rewind our song. Headphones press against my temples, cord lies tangled on the sheet. Room is older, walls are different, but that rhythm stays so sweet. I remember how we played it in your narrow childhood bed, how you kissed me on the shoulder while the music filled my head. So I rewind our song till the tape might almost break. Every chorus, every whisper wakes the love I couldn't say. If you ever feel a heartbeat when you think you've moved along, it might be me on this mattress as I rewind our song. Life moved on with louder records, digital and sharp and new. Voices promise bigger feelings, brighter futures without you. But no other modern anthem, no big headline, no big stage ever touched the way this fragile little echo hits my age. I imagine you somewhere else now, different city, different bed. Maybe someone shares your pillow, hears your breathing in their head. I don't wanna break your living, don't intend to cross your line. I just need this quiet replay of the love that once was mine. So I rewind our song like a prayer between the years. Every gentle fading symbol mixes with my hidden tears. If some evening you feel restless with no reason to belong, know my soul is still recording what we were in that one song.
Tickets crumpled in my pocket, music fading in the halls. You were laughing with our classmates, waving against the air. You came running just behind me with your jacket in your hands. You were the love I couldn't name, standing right in front of me. I was scared to break the distance, scared of what we both could see. So I walked you to the gateway, heart on fire, voice afraid, and my life became a story of the kiss I never gave. You were talking about summer, about trains and foreign seas, about letters, about freedom, about who we hope to be. Every word was like a window into something bright and near. I kept nodding, kept on smiling, kept on drowning in my fear. You were the love I couldn't name, standing right in front of me. I was scared to break the distance, scared of what we both could see. So I walked you to the gateway, heart on fire, voice afraid, and my life became a story of the kiss I never gave. Now they say you live with someone, have a family, have a life. Sometimes friends will drop your birthday like a stone into my mind. I don't wanna steal your present, don't want storms around your days, but I wonder if you're sleeping while my thoughts still drift your way. If I had that night again now, with these years behind my eyes, I would take your hand more tightly. I would stop pretending blind. I would whisper that I love you, let my foolish pride be still, let our mouths erase the distance at the gate beyond that hill. You were the love I couldn't name, and I carry you for years. When the quiet gets too heavy, I still feel you standing here. All my greatest hidden longing lives inside one single wave. In the moment that I lost you with a kiss I never gave.
Is leaning out a suitcase I had not unzipped for years. Old receipts and faded numbers bits of dust and tiny fears. Then a small torn piece of cardboard slipped and landed on my knee, with your name scratched on the backside, like you'd left a sign for me. It was a ticket with your name from the journey we first shared. I remember how you smiled and how you smoothed my tangled hair. If you wonder, was it love or just two young kids at play? No, this one forgotten ticket still can't take my breath away. On that day we sat together, metal seats and humming ground. You were talking about nothing, yet my heart loved every sound. When the bus began to rumble, you leaned in to point outside, and your shoulder brushed my shoulder, set a quiet fire inside. It was a ticket with your name from the journey we first shared. I remember how you smiled and how you smoothed my tangled hair. If you wonder, was it love or just two young kids at play? No, this one forgotten ticket still can't take my breath away. Later on we said forever, then we let our promise fall. Other faces kissed my future, other voices filled your calls, but no other train or highway, no expensive foreign place holds a piece of simple loving like that old and crowded space. So I keep this ticket with your name in a hidden little box, not to call you, not to claim you, not to break your present clocks. It just proves that once completely on a bus that shook and swayed, I was held inside a moment where my heart learned love that day.
Every step along the staircase still remembers how we moved. You would carry heavy textbooks, I would pretend to play it cool. You lived higher by a landing, I was one floor down below, and our eyes would meet in passing like a secret only we could know. There was love on the third floor, in the echo of your name. I could feel it through the hallway, through the walls between our frames. If you ever think of leaving all the years we never wore, tiredness pulled your hair behind your back. I sat next to you in silence, shared a chocolate from my coat. When our fingers touched by accident, something opened in my throat. There was love on the third floor, in the echo of your name. I could feel it through the hallway, through the walls between our frames. If you ever think of leaving all the years we never wore, know my heart is still there walking past your door. On the third floor, neighbors came and changed their numbers. Names got taken from the list. You moved out one simple weekend with a suitcase I still miss. I pretended I was busy, said good luck and looked away. But my chest was full of thunder that never let you hear that day. Now I visit old acquaintances, climb those stairs for someone else. But the tiles and narrow windows still know exactly how I felt. Every time I pass that landing where we used to pause and talk, I can almost see your figure at the turn of that long walk. There was love on the third floor, not in paperwork or plans, just in how we shared the railing, in the brush of passing hands. If some evening you feel longing with no reason at its core, it might be my quiet footsteps moving up the third floor. The third floor.
Under the buzzing hallway light, your suitcase waited by the wall. Someone's radio in a kitchen played a song about it all. I could hear my neighbors talking through the fragile doors, while our hearts stood in the stairwell like two secrets on the floor. This was our stairwell kiss goodbye. One soft breath, one quiet touch. I could taste your tired heartbeat. I could feel too much, too much. If you ever doubt this story, if you question was it love, remember trembling in that stairwell when we shared one breaking kiss above. but your eyes were full of weather that would wash away it all. I was trying not to shiver, not to beg you, please don't go. So I leaned into your jacket, let my tears refuse to show. This was our stairwell kiss goodbye. One soft breath, one quiet touch. I could taste your tired heartbeat. I could feel too much, too much. If you ever doubt the story, if you question was it love, remember trembling in that stairwell when we shared one breaking kiss above. People think that love is banners, big arrivals, shining seas, but the truest part of loving lives in narrow hidden things, like the echo of our voices on the concrete in the air, like the way your hands were shaking when you held my fingers there. Now when someone whispers first love, I don't see some crowded room, I see numbered dusty railings, I feel old fluorescent gloom. And I know that for a moment all the world was only this, two young hearts that learned to let go in a stairwell with a kiss. curtains barely hide the evening. Lamp is humming soft and low. Oak set is slowly turning, letting simple music flow. We were far from any glamour, just two kids in worn out shoes. But the way you held me closer made the whole world start to lose. This was our living room, love, on a rug that knew our feet. All the riches I imagined never felt so bright or sweet. If you wonder what I cherish when new cities call my name, I see us in that small room where our love first burned like flame. Furniture was scratched and crooked. Wallpaper was not the best. You apologized for nothing, saying sorry for the mess. But your hands were warm and certain when you reached to pull me in, and that quiet, clumsy swaying felt like true life could begin. This was our living room, love, on a rug that knew our feet. All the riches I imagined never felt so bright or sweet. If you wonder what I cherish when your cities call my name, I see us in that small room where our love first burned like Later I saw fancy places, shining floors and crystal light. People kissed in perfect outfits, posed for pictures every night. Yet no ballroom, no big concert, no high tower, no hotel ever held my heart so tightly as that shy and simple spell. So I keep this living room, love, in a drawer inside my mind. When the world feels cold and empty, when new faces are unkind, I close eyes and feel your heartbeat, hear that gentle ancient song, and remember how our love grew in a room that looked all wrong. Concrete floor and metal baskets, old machines along the wall. You were sorting faded clothing, humming fragments of a call. I walked in with folded towels, tried to look like I belonged, but my chest was beating louder than that became my laundry room heart, hidden place where love could breathe. While we talked of simple laundry, I felt more than I could speak. If you ever taste a memory when a dryer starts to start, know I'm back inside that cellar with my shaking laundry heart. Other neighbors came and vanished, cycles ended, doors were closed. We grew older, changed our habits, moved to different distant roads. Still that humming, steady rhythm, still that steam against the glass, holds the echo of your laughter from a soft and fragile past. I returned there once much later, just to see if it still stands. New machines, fresh paint and labels, but the same cold on my hands. And I knew that every rinse there, every spin and every start was a choir of old feelings from my tired laundry heart. You remain my laundry room heart, not in soap or cloth or steel, but in how a small routine place made our secret loving real. If some evening you feel lonely without knowing why you are, it might be my soul still waiting near those machines not very far.
Faded carpet, crooked numbers on the handle of the door, ceiling fan that keeps on ticking like a heart that beat before. You were sitting on the bedsheet with a towel in your hair. She was breathing through the doorway, bringing salt into the air. In this ocean hotel room, I first saw my real love clear. Nothing rich and nothing perfect, just your softness lying here. If you ever hear the water and a memory starts to bloom, know my soul is still there watching how you glow in that small room. We hung clothes across a hanger, let them dry above the floor. You were dancing with the pillow, laughing, asking me for more. On the table stood a player with a tape we both adored, as we slow danced by the door. my days feel cold and numb, I will close my eyes and travel to that room where love was young. If your heart still feels an echo when the sea begins to boom, it is my unending loving back inside. That ocean
coiled white wire on the table, heavy hand sitting in my hand, fantastic numbers in a circle where my nervous fingers land. I would sit there by the doorway, back against the wooden frame, trying not to breathe too loudly as I slowly dial your name. On that Rotary Line, I first learned the taste of love. Every click between the digits felt like steps I dreamed of. Phrases, threw them quickly all away when your gentle voice said hello. Every word forgot its way. We would talk of simple subjects, school and weather, silly bands, but my chest was full of thunder as I tangled in the strand. On that Rotary Line, I first learned the taste of love. Every click between the digits felt like steps I dreamed of. If you ever feel a shiver when an old phone starts to ring, it might be my younger heartbeat through that fading, circling thing. Later came the newer models, button screens and colored lights. People send 1,000 messages, lose their hearts in endless nights, but no modern bright connection, no fast call across the sea has the weight of that old handset when you trusted words from me. Now the phone is long forgotten, packed in boxes stored away. Still sometimes I hear those pulses in the silence Rotary Line. You were always bad with phrases, stopped and stumbled on the words, but his hand spoke for him. Small touches, one gentle kiss. You just stood beside the doorway, shifting weight from heel to toe. Then you reached to fix my collar, and your fingers told me more. Quiet little lie in a small forgotten gesture, in one barely given sign. When you brushed away my worry with a slow and silent touch, I believed in us completely without needing speech too much. Walking home along the pavement, you would never hold too tight. Just a simple, steady contact, like a promise in the night. Once you kissed me on the forehead, didn't find a speech to give, but that one small trembling moment taught me how I wanna live. Of your hands, every quiet little line in a small forgotten gesture, in one barely given sign. When you brushed away my worry with a slow and silent touch, I believed in us completely without needing speech too much. People talk about big sentences, declarations in the rain, but I learned that true devotion lives in things that look too plain, like the way you passed a cup to me, checked the windows, locked the door, placed your palm between my shoulder and the coldness of the world. Now I sit in different kitchens, hear new voices say I care, but my skin still learns by memory what your fingers once left there. If you ever sit and wonder if your love was understood, know my heart still speaks your language more than any textbook could. There was love in the language of your hands, and it never really fades. I still feel your gentle grammar in the signs that life creates. Every time I touch the table, every time I cross the room, I can almost sense your presence reaching through the quiet gloom. There was love through the quiet gloom.
drop my bag and sit. Old wood floor would creak beneath me. Old gray ceiling watched a bit. Then your laughter slipped between us through the fragile painted line, and this narrow strip of plaster heard my heart call you, be mine. It was love through a thin wall, love you never really knew. I could hear your quiet footsteps, hear the world that carried you. If you ever feel a longing when you stand in some new hall, it might be my younger heartbeat and that love through a thin wall. You would sing along to records, talk with friends till it was late. I would press my palm to silence, let your voice decide my fate. Once you cried and I was shaking, fighting urge to knock your door, but I stayed a silent neighbor with my back against the floor. It was love through a thin wall, love you never really knew. I could hear your quiet footsteps, hear the world that carried you. If you ever feel the longing when you stand in some new hall, it might be my younger heartbeat and that love through a thin wall. Years went on, you left that building, took your boxes down the stair. I pretended I was busy, did not ask you to stay there. Since that day in other cities, when a room is small and pale, any sound behind the plaster brings your face back without fail. I've kissed and held another, tried to grow and tried to heal, but I never quite repeated how that hidden love could feel. Not a grand and shouting promise, not a ring or pouring rain, just a man who loved a stranger through a thin and shaking frame. It was love through a thin wall. No one writes such tales in books, but to me it was the moment when my whole life changed its look. If some night you hear a humming that you somehow can't recall, know that somewhere I am thinking of our love through that thin wall.
from salty play. You were standing by the shoreline with your shoes tied in your hand, asking if I feared the water, asking if I'd walk the sand. There were waves between our hearts, rolling in and turning back. Every time they touched our footprints, they erased what we had lacked. If you ever think of first love, when you hear the ocean start, know my soul still walks that shoreline with those waves between our hearts. We would talk of different cities, places we would like to see. You would joke about a small house where we lived beside the sea. Then you kissed my tired forehead, pulled me closer by the tide, and the sound of water rising felt like music from inside. There were waves between our hearts, rolling in and turning back. Every time they touched our footprints, they erased what we had lacked. If you ever think of first love, when you hear the ocean start, know my soul still walks that shoreline with those waves between our hearts. Summer ended without warning, buses filled and roads were dark. We exchanged a few slow letters, then let distance take our spark. Yet no grown-up later passion, no bright cities, no new scenes ever match that quiet moment where the water touched our dreams. So when days feel dry and heavy, and I need a place to start, I just close my eyes and listen for the sea inside my heart. In that gentle, endless rhythm where the foam rewrites each part, I still feel your careful loving and the waves between our hearts.
soul junction like a prayer that never dies. So this turning lane to your house stays a crossroad in my chest. I still love you in a quiet way. Wish you nothing but your best. If some evening you feel curious for a reason you can't guess, know I'm out here with my longing, letting wheels confess the rest.
Tap is dripping in the silence. Light above the table hums. Plates are stacked in careful towers, left from ordinary months. On the edge beside the dishes, something simple makes me think. Two old mugs with chipped off color, waiting quiet in the sink. These two mugs in the sink. No more love than I can say. Every morning, every evening, saw hearts in their own way. If you ever taste a memory in the first warm sip you drink, know my tears are slowly falling near those two mugs in the sink. We would stand here half awakened. You would pour and I would stir. Sometimes we were deeply talking, sometimes barely hearing words, but your hand would brush my fingers as you pass the sugar through. And that tiny sleepy moment felt like proof that love was true. These two mugs in the sink. No more love than I can say. Every morning, every evening, saw hearts in their own way. If you ever taste a memory in the first warm sip you Dry them with a careful hand. Put one back inside the cupboard. Leave one where I used to stand. If someday your chest feels heavy, when you fill your drink and think, it might be my broken loving, and those two mugs in the sink.